Hello, my name is Matthijs. Here's some data about me. Um, I lead a pen testing team at Nixu. On Twitter, I go by the name Alcyon Security, and I coined the hashtag DitchCyber together with Meneer, who is also a colleague of mine. This talk was supposed to be about handling a case of ransomware. But since you're all developers here, I thought it would be nice to give it a different twist and look to the piece of ransomware from a customer perspective and see how the developers, yeah, how well they write their software. So we're not going to talk about the incident response process. We are not going to talk about the preparation. So how do we prepare for ransomware? No, we're not going to do that. No, sorry. um, yeah, how do you identify ransomware? Usually that's quite obvious. You try to open your documents and they are encrypted and it doesn't work anymore the way you expected. We're not going to talk about that. I'm talking about no, skipping all this. I'm talking about. I'm going to talk about ransomware as from the perspective of a consumer. So ransomware, yeah, that's basically a piece of software you purchase, or well, you actually it's a kind of freemium software. So you get it for free. You install it by clicking on the link. Probably you shouldn't, and it encrypts your stuff. And yeah, that's fine because you can travel to countries abroad, and if border control stops you and they try to image your hard drive, all your stuff is encrypted. That's a good thing. But when you want to retrieve these files, yeah, that's why you start paying. So usually they have a nice help desk, or you send an email. You say, hey, I want my files back, and they ask you to pay some bitcoins or whatever cryptocurrency, and you get your files back, right? Maybe this is an example of ransomware for corporate environments. That's also available. Well, I'm telling you about my shitty experience actually. So I try to open a file, and what happens? It tries to open it as a DOS application. Well, what happens here? So apparently, this piece of ransomware um, appended some string ending in .com, an email address. Yeah, for those old enough to know, a COM file is an executable file that dates back to the DOS age. So, okay, well, so it renamed my files, and well, it's obviously not executable. So what the hell? Usually when yeah, you have some nice ransomware that drops you a ransom note in a nice graphical form, but this one didn't. So actually, I had a very bad UI experience here. Well, as far as features go, yeah, it seems solid. AS256-bit encryption sounds good. So what do I need to do if I want my files back? Okay, I send an email, and it says, very important. We recommend to email us with Gmail or Yahoo address. Why? Otherwise, your email may not reach us. Check the spam folder. Probably our response mail is in that. Okay. And another warning here, do not try to decrypt files by third-party deciphers. Otherwise, you will spoil files. Okay, so I should use your original product, right? So that's what I did. I emailed the guys. Apparently, I had to take a look at the file because the .com obviously was an email address. So I emailed them, and what do you think? Message not delivered. So I was here with these encrypted files, pretty much disappointed. It did a good job. Usually you expect your ransomware to enumerate your drives and encrypt your hard disk, encrypt your USB media, etc. But what if you have a network mapping? Oh, that's where it started to encrypt the department file share as well. Ouch. So without the ransomware support team, yeah, what do we do? Well, was a particular piece of ransomware where no public decryptors are available. And besides, they do not want you to use it because you might spoil your files. So, okay, what do? Resort to the backup. So first, try to find out what files are encrypted. So it should be easy. All files end with the email address, so that's appended to the original file name. To do that quickly and to be able to redirect that to a file, so I have a nice listing. I use good old dir command, this /s for recursing into subfolders. I want all the files, so hidden files as well. And it shows me that 924 files are encrypted. Okay. Challenge accepted. But what it did is in File Explorer in Windows, it found 954 files. That's weird. When I did this in PowerShell, I found 924 files again. So what the hell is going on here? Luckily, PowerShell gives some more information what's really going on. So it raises this nice exception that the fully qualified file name must be less than 260 characters, and the directory name must be less than 2048 characters. Okay, we are living in 2017, and we still have this restriction. NTFS file system supports 32K of file paths. So why? Well, if you dig deep into MSDN, you can find this little piece. And there it is explained. So the Windows File I/O, the standard Windows File I/O API functions only support 260 characters in a path name. Okay, but this ransomware was able to encrypt my files, right? So how the hell did that work? Okay, here's a little explanation about why the 260. That sounds strange. We are always used counting in binary, so exponents of 2 are familiar. But that dates back to the DOS era as well. So you have a data structure with a drive letter, a colon, a backslash, that counts for 3. And the path, yes, that's a familiar power of 2, exponent of 2. And of course, the trailing null. So I was kind of confused why this ransomware successfully encrypted my files. However, how did it do that, and why can't I access these files using my File Explorer? Well, actually, this is what happens. So when your computer is connected to a network and it performs drive mapping, that artificially shortens your full file path. So when you take a look on your file server, you still have this this long file path, and that's where it exceeds the 260 character limit. Okay, well, to the rescue, good old DOS. Yes, I don't know how many of you still know this command. Nobody apparently. And this gentleman has white hair, so. Oh, okay. Yeah, bold. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the subs command can be used to create a local mapping for directories. And okay, we're in business again. We can map a folder to a drive letter. We can use our good old dir command, and yes, we can find our files. Okay, all good, right? Not really. Still missing some files and some errors. And it seems that as an administrator on a file share, you not always have the correct file permissions to access these files. Why is that? Yeah, all comes the joy of discretionary access control list, that people can set their own file permissions and can add explicit denies to whomever they want. So, okay, that's interesting. How are we going to access these or restore these files? iCackles is a nice DOS command. I don't know. Yeah, again, this is a newer command actually. It has been introduced in Windows 2003 or something, or I don't know. So you can use this command to take ownership of files, and there you go. You can delete them, replace them with your backup files, whatever you want. But painfully, this iCackles command, iCackles, sorry. This is also affected by that same 260 character limitation. Okay, we covered that already with subs, so we'll be fine. Right, there's another nice utility, which some of you might be familiar with, and that's robocopy. We can actually achieve the same thing without worrying about path length, because it supports a full 32K file path. And that's because it's using a more modern variation of the Windows File I/O API. That's for supporting Unicode. Yeah, as you know, Unicode will double your string size. So yeah, it would be very shitty if your file path should be reduced to 128 characters. So robocopy is pretty neat. So you can use that. It has some additional benefits. So it has some additional benefits because you actually can use the backup rights. So if you're an administrator and you throw these backup rights into the battle, you can even write files that are shielded by regular file permissions. So that's actually pretty nice. So you don't have to do the take ownership and stuff. People are always scared when you, as an administrator, take ownership of files. So you should, in this case, you aren't scared to use. What if we combine PowerShell and robocopy? There's obviously someone smarter than me that already did that. And this is a pretty neat script that you can use to exactly do this: copy files, move files, without the 260 character restriction. So time to rebuild our system. I already told you just a part of the files. Obviously, only the interesting documents are encrypted, so the ransomware skips executables and so on. So it doesn't want to ruin your computer because, well, if you start encrypting executable files, there's a good chance that your computer doesn't work anymore. So they skip these. So ransomware usually encrypts your Word documents, your Excel files, your family photos, etc., etc. In this case, we are talking about the file share, so the department file share. So other people are relying to that as well. So yeah, people are very stressed out. And the good news, there was a backup, and it was 1 day old. Okay, it was a full backup with 1 terabyte of data, more than 100,000 files. Okay, I challenge you. Do you know backup solution that you can feed a list of files to serve as a selection? Anybody, any takers? To selectively restore files? No? I thought so. I couldn't find one when I needed it. So we have to restore, and we don't want to overwrite untouched files. So what options do you have? Yeah, of course, this is an offsite backup. Every organization should do an offsite backup. But hauling 1 terabyte of data across a network, even if you have a pretty neat WAN connection, is a challenge. So even with a 40 megabits WAN connection, it should take more than 35 hours to restore. Not ideal. Well, if your backup is stored in the vicinity, perhaps you can do the restore offsite as well and ship a hard drive to your file server and then restore locally. And that should be doable. Throughput about 25 megabytes per second. And that takes 4 hours. That's much more acceptable. So your hard drive came in. And guess what? They're restored on a fat partition. Uh-oh. The files, okay, the contents are all right, but we don't have the file permission set on these. Here we go again. So I told you this presentation is about a series of unfortunate events, and that's exactly what happens. Fortunately, Microsoft to the rescue again. So with this iCackles tool I described earlier, it's possible to store all your file permissions into a separate file and import that on a different, well, similarly looking file system. So basically, this is what you do on your encrypted file share. It stores the file permissions, and hopefully everything is fine when after the restore, we apply these permissions again. Okay, after this exercise, a little bit more than 5 hours later, still the co-workers that use the department share complained, we have these files that we cannot open. Is it a COM file? No, it is not. Wait. This is what happened. So the ransomware was able to encrypt the file in place. So it opens a file, writes some garbage. It doesn't do the full encryption because it takes too long. So they overwrite 1 or 2 K of worth of bytes, move on to the next. Wait, before moving on to the next, they append the nice email address. But in particular cases, you exceed this 260 character limit. I how are we going to find these needles in a haystack? I don't know. I didn't get any response from the service desk, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. So we have a huge haystack with a mix of legitimately edited files and encrypted files. So yes, I hear you thinking you can filter on the file modification timestamp. Yeah, you still have a few thousand files, and I don't like manually trying to open them. So I came up with something. As I told you, this particular piece of ransomware, which, by the way, is called an Indian. It was Indian for monkey robber or something. Bandachor. I learned that from Indian administrator who was obviously outsourced. She was working for an outsourcing company that took care of this infrastructure. So I'm not drawing any conclusions here. So I came up with doing a frequency analysis on the files. So simply something like this, and I have to thank a guy named Manifestation for this useful code snippet. So a quick copy and paste, and you can do a file. You read in the contents of the file, take the first 1K, do an entropy analysis on that. And if it's high entropy and the rest of the file is a lower entropy, then you should be reasonably safe that you have encountered encrypted file. So this way, I was finally able to sieve all the files and selectively restore these using the same strategy. So what can we learn from this? At least what do I want to the developers of the ransomware, what do I want from them? So please use the Unicode file.io API. Please, 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 especially if you're touching the file names. I would like a better GUI. So I found the text file, and that's not very user-friendly, so I don't like it. And please use a proper email infrastructure. So why do I have to create a Gmail account to send them email, and otherwise I don't receive it? And the response ends up in my spam folder or not at all? Come on. And yeah, please respond, or at least have a mailbox. Well, all jokes aside, when you encounter a case of ransomware, of course, there are some lessons learned as well. So it's very important that you know how ransomware works and what artifacts it creates and how you can identify encrypted files. Well, I've described a pretty unconventional recovery strategy. That's because of the backup solution did not really do what it was supposed to do, or at least it was missing a feature where you could selectively restore files. So take into consideration that something like that can happen as well. For all of you with the snapshot solutions, think about it. That can be a challenge as well. Another thing, how can you be notified as soon as a file share is in the process of being encrypted? You can put some file share canaries, so put some file and enable file system auditing on it. Hide it somewhere deep so regular users will not touch it. Hide it with all means possible, but potentially the ransomware will touch it, and once it gets touched, you're pretty sure that something is amiss. Malware has bugs, unfortunately. So don't count on their help desk, but don't count that it always works as designed. And I cannot mention enough, backups are very important. That was my story, so we have some time for a question.
So thank you, Matthijs. Any questions?
Thank you. My question is, how long did it take you to do all this workflow from beginning to the end? Weeks, months, years? Sorry.
That took 4 days. Yeah. 4 man days. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Matthijs.